Hi, Mike Smith here with a brief presentation on teaching tips for conditionals language. How many conditionals are there? Well, we often refer to first, second, and third conditionals, and we may later mention mixed conditionals, but in fact, we use conditionals in our language of instruction all the time. So it's useful to introduce the concept to our learners as soon as they're ready. And then when we do so, it's worth also then thinking about how we grade our own language for the level of language learners that we have in front of us. There are, of course, many other combinations of conditionals, as you can see in the examples here, and also on this slide. So it might not actually be honest to say that to refer to first, second, and third conditionals. Rather, I tend to introduce the concept of conditional language as soon as practical. Let's look at the concept of conceptual distance to indicate politeness and indirect speech. So if you look at this sentence here, would you like some cake instead of do you want cake? We're using a past conjugation here for would and also for could to indicate politeness, and that's an example of conceptual distance. And we use similar sorts of things, forms of past grammar with future meaning in conditionals. And we also use past grammar to indicate other forms of less direct speech, such as lower probability, which we'll talk about, and also reported speech. So these are examples of linguistic distance marking conceptual distance. So here's how conceptual distance works in conditionals. The zero conditional here, using present simple to indicate facts. And the first conditional here to indicate some kind of futurity. And if we're talking about the future, then there is an inherent sense of uncertainty, but will indicates some kind of emphasis or reasonably high certainty into the future. And then if we move from the first conditional to the second conditional, we indicate less certainty or lesser probability using the past conjugation of will, of win here, and also of will. So wins becomes won, and will becomes would. And then we have a problem because if we want to also indicate past time, as in the third conditional, we need to further backshift, adding more linguistic distance. This resembles a past perfect here, and then some extra linguistic material here to indicate a hypothetical in the past. So this can be really confusing for students. Why are we using past for the future? If you concoct an example that is personable, it's relevant to the students, such as these two, then the speakers can choose the grammar that reflects the future probability that they personally feel. And that is the best way to present the contrastive aspect differences between first and second conditional. Finally, then, we can use this backshift idea in linguistic distance to understand what the difference is between were and was in conditionals. Were being further backshifting to indicate something that's impossible, such as if I were you. So, moving on to resources then. This page from Pictures of English Tenses is a really useful in contrastive teaching for different conditionals. I use it for all conditional structures, including future and past. See the conditionals detailed presentation for how to use this resource. Thanks very much.